So welcome everybody to our 52 weeks of team building series right here on Facebook Live and also on LinkedIn. My name is Beth and I am with Creative Learning Society. We are a team building and social learning company. We do all sorts of fun things from murder mysteries, which is one of the things we are most popular for, to different types of team building and training in the local Houston area as well as all over Texas. So thank you for joining us. 52 weeks of team building is our mission to bring you guys new and fresh ideas of things that you can do with your teams on a regular basis that cost next to nothing, that you can use to help build your team at work or in your community or at home. So thank you for joining us. This week's team building idea, and it's one of my absolute favorite. It is called Operator. And when you think about that, you might think about that tried and true old-fashioned game that we all used to play as kids, or they like to play in a lot of communication trainings, called telephone. An operator is not necessarily the same thing. This is a exercise, and I want to call it an exercise, that can be used with your team to help you, one, if you've got a long-standing team that is highly functioning, they're happy together, they're doing well. This is a fun pre-meeting or pre-activity starter that you can do to kind of really ramp up the interest for something that's coming up. Or if you have a group of team members that are new and have not worked together before, or as all teams have challenges, if you have a team that's having some challenges, you can use this as a team leader to help you identify areas where you're having breakdowns in communication and where you're having breakdowns in trust, because trust is the foundation that all teams are built on. So how is Operator played? It's a lot of fun. Before you have a meeting or before you have a event, a conference that you are going to be bringing your team in for, operators start 3 to 5 days before the event. So you as the team leader would decide on something that you want your team members to do or to bring to the meeting. For example, something super easy. You want everyone to wear red, right? I want everyone to wear the color red to the meeting. I want everyone to bring an orange to the meeting. I want everyone to bring 5 canned goods with you to the meeting. That's all you need to decide. You do not need to decide what you want them to do with those items, because this exercise does have a post-exercise that works with it, that you can have some fun with those items. However, the exercise is in the communication and the trust itself before the meeting happens. So you decide on a directive. Let's say you're having a team building exercise and you want everyone to wear, and we'll call them work appropriate, or, community appropriate PJs or jammies to the meeting, right? God, something that's going to make people go, why do you want me to do that? Why do I have to wear a red t-shirt to this event? You decide you want them to wear something specific to the meeting. Something that is outside of your norm. Ask them to all conform to one thing. So you want everyone to wear red. You set a directive. I want everyone to wear red to the meeting. But here's the catch. As the leader, you don't tell everybody that this is what you want them to do. You pick one person, which I call the lead participant, one person, your lead participant, to be the only person that you tell about this requirement. So, and how do you do that? Here's the catch. Guys, it has to be a verbal instruction. Verbal. My hands. Verbal. Why can't it be in writing? Why can't it be an email? Why can't it be a text? It's simple. If you receive a text from the boss or the team lead saying, I want you to do this, it's super easy to forward that on. And if other people see that and they see who it's coming from, it's going to be very easy for them to conform and say, okay, no big deal. It came from the boss. The key here is you want this communication to come from somebody within the team because you want to see how the team uses and reacts to this information. So as a leader, you pick one person on your team. For whatever reason you want, it could be because they have been a great leader in the past. It could be because maybe you think they are not the strongest leader that you have, or maybe they're the newest team member or the oldest team member. Whatever it might be, you pick this one person as your team lead. Once you pick that person as your team lead, anywhere between 3 to 5 days before the meeting or the event, you walk up to them and you give them a verbal instruction, or you can call them and give them a verbal instruction. Hey, Tina, I would like everyone to wear red, one article of red clothes to the meeting on next Tuesday. Please pass this along to the other group members. And that's all that there is. If they ask questions why, you can simply say, I will reveal that information at the meeting. That's it. That's all you have to do. It's very, very simple. Once you pass this along, what you are going to do is let it go. As the leader, you're going to walk away, which is the hardest part in the world. You're going to have a challenge doing this, but let it go and let's see where it leads. You're not giving a lot of instructions. You're just giving that one directive, and it's up to that lead participant to decide how to get that information out. And here's where it becomes interesting. That lead participant may or may not feel the responsibility to make sure that everyone on the team knows. That lead participant might decide, well, I'm going to tell Sally, and we'll see if Sally tells everybody else, and I'll just tell her the same thing that I said. So there's your communication. Where does the communication begin and where does it end? Is there a clear stopping point somewhere around the way? Now, if you get to the meeting on next Tuesday and you discover someone didn't get the message, that's a great indicator that you've got some communication breakdown, and it gives you a chance to explore that right there with everyone in the room. Nobody likes to be left out, right? So that's one way to look at it. The other thing that is going to come up as the team is sharing this information is you are going to get people like me. And I'm the first one to admit this. If somebody called, and just like they did when I received that call that said, wear pajamas to the meeting on Monday, I thought to myself, excuse me? I did not think that I was getting correct information. So I second guessed the person who called me, and I called 2 or 3 other people to verify this information. Yes, I did not have trust. I double checked. And so that's exactly what I did. So people on your team may experience the same thing. They may think, yeah, this is weird. Let me verify this with somebody else. So that's something that might come to light. And you might also have people on your team that are like, yeah, you want me to wear something red to the meeting? Okay, it didn't come from the boss, so I'm just not going to do it. And they might show up and they might not have on something red, and it gives you an opportunity to open that part of the conversation as well. It's a really fun way to do those checks and balances for how your team is communicating with each other. Are they really following through, and is your lead participant who was given those instructions, please pass this along to all the other participants in the meeting, are they following through on the task that you gave them? They will use or choose to use different forms of communication. Some of them might start an email chain, some of them might start texting, some of them might pick up the phone and call or go over and see somebody in person and impart the information. Either way, it's really interesting to see what happens when you show up at the meeting on Tuesday. So for example, when my group did it, I think we had 2 people who were in a different city. So Austin to San Antonio, different city, but same. The 2 people in San Antonio never got the memo. For some reason, when the information was disseminated and they thought team, they didn't incorporate the 2 people who were working in a satellite office. It was very interesting. You would also find that some people interpreted it very differently. Some people showed up to the meeting in their work clothes, but they had their pajamas in a little bag with them. So what did that mean? They heard it, they didn't want to be left out, but they didn't quite trust the message. And this gave our leader an amazing opportunity to start opening a conversation with us. We have to look as leaders at things in our teams that might not be working perfectly. We're no different than an NFL football team, and I'm going to use that because the Super Bowl is coming up. I'm just proud that I know that fact. But we are no different than an NFL football team who stops, rewinds, and looks at plays and game tapes and videos over and over and over again so they can identify areas where they struggled and they can work on getting better. It's the same thing that we need to do as teams. And as everyone arrives and you start noticing different things about what people wore, maybe they wore red, maybe your directive was to bring 5 canned goods and somebody didn't bring their canned goods. How does this affect the team as a whole? How did that person feel if they didn't get the communication? How did the lead participant feel if all of a sudden the information that they passed on from a credible source, which was their boss, how did they feel when somebody started questioning them? And that is a key piece to starting to understand how to really build your team from those building blocks, that concrete base of trust, which absolutely has to exist for a team to function correctly. There is a lot of information in this activity. There's a lot of debrief that can be done. And this can be done with any kind of group. I always stress that when you think of team building, it doesn't have to be just your work group. It can be any group out there. Your volunteer group, your church group, your work group, your family. It's a great place to identify areas where you need to evolve and get better. The attachment that I have on my blog post on my website will include all sorts of debrief questions that you can use to start a discussion about the activity itself and help you identify those areas where you need to improve as a team. It will also include some suggestions for some really fun activities that you can do with everybody when they show up. So if they bring canned goods, once you're done with your discussion, here's my recommendation. You break them up into teams and have them create sculptures out of their can. Give them 5 to 10 minutes, make it short, make it fun. My attachment has a full set of instructions and a full set of suggestions for things that you can do with your team to kind of round out this exercise. At the end of the exercise, always remember to thank everyone for participating. This might make some people feel a little weird or uncomfortable, the whole process before they get to the meeting, and that's okay. But you want to thank them for being a team player, grinning and bearing and being part of it. And you want to welcome their feedback. It's important to say, hey guys, I need to know what you think. How do we improve as a team? I think we've highlighted some of those areas where we need improvement. I can't do this on my own. I'm just the leader. You guys are the team members and I need to hear from you. So I hope you guys enjoy it. Please take some time to download the instructions. It's on my website, www.Creative Learning Society, under news, and it's the newest post for today. Thank you guys. Have a very wonderful week, and see you soon. Bye.